efficiency of this screening is so high that in countries like Germany and certain parts of Europe, if you do not agree for your baby to be tested for these disorders, then the social services will come and say you must be an idiot to put the baby at risk, and they'll take the baby away. That is the sort of seriousness they have. In fact, in China, which is, we always compare India to China, they say that if a person, the doctor does not give information regarding this test to the parents, doctor can be arrested. So that is the seriousness of this disease. But in India, we still don't have government spending money, or definitely we don't have any initiative by anybody to do anything. And it is an important proven result, and it is one of the definitely best practices to follow. One more best practice to follow is hearing screening at birth. All of us grew up in childhood reading the words dumb or deaf in the dictionary, but for the last 7 years, dumbness has been removed from the dictionary. The reason it's been removed is if you pick up a baby with the deafness at birth, and that baby has deafness and you treat them, they never become dumb, because hearing is important for speech development, and you can actually avoid dumbness in the whole. And India probably has one of the highest incidence of deafness, accounting for almost 1 in 400 babies. That means for every 400 babies, we can almost see one baby with the deafness. In Cloud9, in the last 7 years, we have identified 8 babies with the deafness soon after birth, and we have treated them, and they are all doing well. So had we not done this test at birth, we would have had 8 dumb people added to the community. So if you classify all these things, these are the best practices to follow. Now, obviously, the change is going to be recognized by some people in different ways. So when the change happens, some people will say it is expensive, as you just heard. Some people will say it's scientifically, it's a proven benefit, and all these tests are done. No other hospital does in Bangalore. No other hospital does all these things in India. So it is a definitely valid things. So whatever we pay is worth it. So we include this everything in the package. So some come and say, well done, you're doing well and you're doing this. Some people don't realize the importance and they say, well, it's expensive. Obviously, costs come to some amount of efficiency. Now, if you look open it or read it, so how do you enforce that? Now, I'm sure all of you know about Coca-Cola ad being, I'm sure all of you know, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many of you don't know this? So all of you know, so I don't need to tell you. But for 1 or 2 people who may not know, Coca-Cola was selling only about 1,000 cans of Coca-Cola in the Middle East. So the new CEO who came said, well, Middle East is such a dry continent and must be selling more. And he actually released this ad. After this, the sales fell down even further. And what they didn't realize is Muslims read left to right. So they interpreted that if you were running in a desert, drink Coca-Cola, you feel exhausted. So what it is important to understand the sensitivity of the local people and give the proper advice, taking their sensitivity into consideration. Otherwise, if you just keep advising, it may not work. Next comes generation gap. I'm sure all of you know Generation Y and Generation X. Here we have a mixture of Generation X and Generation Y. Now, communication with Generation Y is extremely difficult for Generation X people. Similarly, Generation Y people find it extremely difficult to correspond or talk even to Generation X people. I get a lot of friends, relatives calling me and saying, well, we have decided to come to Cloud9, can you suggest an obstetrician? And the first thing I ask is, what is the lady's age? Why do you want an age? Just suggest an obstetrician. No, it's very important, because if I suggest an obstetrician for a young lady, an old obstetrician, they just don't get along. Similarly, if I suggest an old obstetrician for a middle-aged person, they may not get along. So age has to match, communication has to reach, and appropriate communication has to happen. In fact, I'll give you one scenario. I don't want to say the names. One of the obstetricians always gives 6 appointments at beginning of the hour, like 6 o'clock, 6 appointments, 7 o'clock, 7 appointments. But all the obstetricians give 6:10, 6:20, 6:30, 6:40, so they come. So one of these guys who was working in a multinational company, he got very upset because he came at 6:07 and he was the last person to come for that hour and he had to wait for an hour. So he came thumping his feet to my chamber and said, Dr. Kishore, I didn't come to Cloud9 to waste my hour. I'm too busy. Do you know what I am? He was holding his BlackBerry and shouting at me and saying that I wasted 1 hour. So I said, look, I can understand your concern. You're a big multinational guy. I'll talk to the obstetrician. I'll convey the message and I'll see what I can do. I can't promise. So I told the obstetrician. The obstetrician called this guy and said, you're a big guy. I heard you are going to Dr. Kishore and complain. Of course, yes. I'm sorry I made you wait. This fellow felt very happy. He's winning. Then he said, then she turned to his wife and said, how much of time does he give you as a husband in a week? She said, oh, hardly anything. He's always on the BlackBerry or some laptop. So he doesn't give you any time. No. So he got you pregnant and once a month he comes for checkup and he talks everything 3 times. And I said, what do you mean? And I said, well, most people talk everything 3 times to confirm that it is right. And I thought this is peculiar of Indians. I said, nothing like that. So now I see in the clinic, you say, you have to give this drops before food. When they go, doctor, before food, no? Yes. 0.5 ml 4 hours? Yes. I returned it. I just wanted to confirm, 0.5 ml 4 hours? At the end of it, doesn't matter what you say, your baby's heart is problem, kidney has a problem, anything you say, describe. At the end of it, 100% of people will say, otherwise everything is okay, doctor. What do you mean by otherwise everything is okay, doctor? So that sort of a communication you need to get used to, and certainly that sort of a communication very, very interesting. And what you talk, the interpretation of that is very, very important too. Because we might have said, but that interpretation by the patients is totally different, then you'll end up in trouble. Because you would have said something and they would have said something and they understood something, and so you have to actually cross-check with the patient or the nurses that what you have explained to them is what you meant. Otherwise, you may be correct in medical terminology, you may be correct in your knowledge, but your communication is also correct, but their interpretation is problem. So if their interpretation is a problem, then you are in trouble. So that also has to be taken into account. At the end of the day, considering all this, sometimes you have to be honest that doctors are human beings, they do mistakes. When they do mistakes, you have to admit it. There's no question of, bullshitting, sorry in my language, but definitely doctors are not gods. People do mistakes. So when do mistakes, they have to apologize or they have to be taken into account. Otherwise, health system is going to fall into apart. So concluding, I was asked to give some message. The message for today is best practices to better healthcare is everyone's right, but healthcare is much more complicated than any other sector. It can be achieved by multi-pronged approach. The whole system and mentality of people need to change. It's not just the hospitals, it's not just the healthcare system. Everybody and everything has to change if you want to make a difference in the healthcare sector. I hopefully conveyed the message. And as I said, I'm not a sexist, but if you have a healthcare sector which delivers Cloud9 sort of deliveries, and if you have a toilet like this, would you use a different toilet in Taj? No. See, he said it's expensive, but he wouldn't. He's speechless. Thank you. Yes, please.
The screening which you talked about, should I ask what test do I want?
See, throughout the world it's called Guthrie test because Robert Guthrie was the person who actually sort of behind the technology, and everywhere in the world if you say Guthrie test, people know. Here Guthrie test many people don't know, so you have to actually ask for newborn screening.
If I go to a good popular hospital, they should understand.
Hopefully. I can't swear by God and say they will understand.
Cloud9 will understand, I guess.
Cloud9 will understand.
So firstly, thanks to the Cloud9 for delivering such a best practices. Okay, and it is not only the best practice, it also a kind of an awareness that you are giving to us. And more I would like to know about is you all talking about the best practices, but what I have heard from the feedback from my colleagues is Cloud9 is doing very good. Okay, even with respect to the costing perspective also, and compared to the normal hospital, it is just a little bit difference, but it is more worthy to have it in the Cloud9. I just want to know what's the offer services to the customers.
Well, that's a very good question, and
otherwise confidential, and take it up offline with you. Primarily, just to give a background of Honeywell, this is where I'm pitching in from. If you want me to articulate it better, please let me know. One is we are into aerospace. Around 60% of the business is aerospace. And rest is around automation and controls. When we say automation, not only performance things, but also for the process solutions. We also have a transportation systems where we cater to the industry in terms of various turbochargers and other equipments for the cars, right from BMW to Rolls-Royce to the Nano right now. And we do have something like a performance materials, it is chemical in nature, where we cater to them for various industries, including military. And around 60% of our business comes from military, 40% from commercials. So that's the background. So stop me anytime. I'm with Honeywell for the past 15 years. When we talk about Honeywell, we fondly talk about simplicity. We never ever complicate things because we are on the air. If you complicate much, you'll be on the ground next minute. So we like to make it simple and very intuitive for air pilots. You would have seen for pilots earlier days, would have been carrying suitcases of material, right? It's just a navigation with things that he or she will be carrying with him. Now you can see 2 iPads, that's 4 instructions of them. Requires 2. If you wanted a backup, one more. And it is fitted in. That sort of a simplicity we work through. That's what we truly believe on. So when we came across enterprise excellence, how do we articulate it, how do we orchestrate it, and things like that, we realized we have to be simple, but at the same time we have to leverage on our own strengths and opportunities that we have. Then we said, Honeywell is been practicing Six Sigma for many years. That's part of our DNA for quite a long time. Using that, why can't we use a Six Sigma approach and say very clearly that the members to materials we will leverage for our enterprise excellence very articulately, with simplicity being our tagline. When you talk about this, I'll walk you through each one of them and give you as many examples as I can. It may not be there in the presentations, of course. So when you look at this in terms of people power, without them, industry doesn't function. Without industry, they cannot also function. That's a different story. We don't understand that this properly. So when we look at them and say that, how do we nurture them, how do we grow them, how do we seed plants with them, how do we make them happy, everything comes into play. So enterprise excellence is, as we heard the doctor a couple of hours before, that he's saying like around 11%, 12% saturation and things like that. We are proud to say like we are in the, not even the 6, less than 5% I can say in India. Okay, and on the technology front, we don't use technology for that, heck of it. If you come to my office, I can walk you through. Most of the white walls are with whiteboards. No presentations by people. Tracking happens on the whiteboard. Sheer whiteboard, nothing more than that. Picked up from Avenue Road, nothing more than that. He or she can scribble, write something as an innovating. This is what I want to do tomorrow morning. This is what I've been doing yesterday, my dear friend. This is my status tomorrow. Fair enough. That's good enough. You will say like, okay, it's a heavy duty industry, automotive is there, aerospace is there, they will have reams of materials, reams of records, reams of quality records. No. This is how we do. Of course, the process excellence comes into play. In every other organization is equally excellent. In that, we have one as MOS, or the Management Operating System, where we ensure our stakeholders and the stakeholders' persona are addressed in a very candid way. When I say a persona here, you talk about, if you talk to a stakeholder, for example, a customer, and you go back and tell him, my post-release defect density is so much, he doesn't care. You may have to talk to him, what is the value add you're bringing on the table? But if you talk to a team leader, he'll say like post-release defect density, right? But most of the times, as a practice, our guys are used to, even my director from the US comes in, my post-release defect density has come down by this percentage. Okay, thanks, can I have a coffee? That's how he reacts, right? So we have been tuning them with a playbook, stating very, very clearly, articulate the right values for the right people. Do not talk much, which is not value adding to anybody. So we have a standard framework, even for people to be hosted in our organization, for them to be escorted in our organization, right from that to the end. So that it's a own experience he or she gets it, not just our customers, but our end customers also comes in. We host our Airbus guys, we host our Boeing guys. They come in, I can see, I'll show you SMS is coming from the Airbus guys. We developed 3 weeks before, there was a good incident for me. In Hyderabad, we have an organization, we have an office, and my guys are responsible for that to make the flight plan. When you say a flight plan, from point A to point B, this is the way in which the flight has to move. This is the potential 99% accuracy weather conditions. This is the potential roadblocks when you get it. This is the way in which it may work in. So this is the way you should fly, my dear pilot. That's the communication we send it to them 21 days in advance, with a prediction of 21 days to 27 days predictions. So accuracy is around 98 to 99%. Lufthansa flies. Lufthansa is very famous for us. So they fly in and they say like, okay, your flight plan ABC for route number 123 is so and so. As bad as words he can use, he will use. Because he is on the air. He has to be supported. So I can't go and help him in any way. Right? Only way I can communicate it to him or her is by my excellence. How do I catch hold of his iPad, see that it doesn't happen again? That's the max you can do. Like the Malaysian Airlines last week took a new turn. It has an annual cockpit. 60% of the cockpits in Airbus and Boeings are owned by us. You can't make a mistake of that. So when you look at that, the playbook has to be very, very solid. That's how we make it. So infrastructure, of course, it has to be world class. I talk about this when I move on. And then, of course, our metrics. The metrics has to be rolled up very, very stringently, very candidly, which will communicate the right things for the right people. We don't want to mince words with anybody, so that the right metrics are going in. When you talk about orchestration, what is this new, Prabhakar? When you talk about orchestration, the Six Sigma is known to me from Six Sigma language, which I've been using for many, many years. I know about excellence, I know about I need to be pakka, I need to be perfect in my activities. What is that new that is bringing in from Honeywell? That's the question that most of you will have, right? So I'll unleash that. So for example, every other project will do this simple X matrix or the Gaussian plan. Up on the wall, printed, pasted on the wall. Why we worry? Because we worry about my customers' information and we worry about my customers' delivery. All other things, right from my management, my customer, anybody who is in the pipeline of marketing, sales, engineering, operations, are all incidental for me. That's the way we have been tuned. You talk to your customer directly. I have my guys sitting in Airbus, sitting in Boeing, sitting in Exxon, collecting data for me on a day-to-day basis, on a long-term basis, saying that 787 flight plan is like this. Can you help me? 6 months down the line, their plan is like this. Are you ready for that? 9 months down the line, their plan is like this. Are you ready for that? That sort of information very, very clearly comes to us. So we tune ourselves to that. So we do this and we very, very clearly articulate within us and say that, is it a breakthrough thinking that you're doing? Is that breakthrough thinking burning for you? Is it really, really burning for you? If it is burning, that becomes a change agent. If you are chasing something which is not burning, please don't do that. We are very clear about it, and we have been practicing this for quite some time. He said, if the burning is there, can it burn for 3 years? Can it burn for 2 years? Make that adjustment and understanding very, very clearly, and move into your first year plan or your 6 months plan, and work towards that very, very candidly. And then there are processes which are already broken because of that. Since your burning platform is available, that doesn't mean your process is stable. Your process is COMI compliant, ABCD compliant. That's okay, that's all fine. There is an opportunity for your process being broken. Have you identified it? Have you understood it? Have you appreciated it? Are you working on that? That's the question we keep asking. When you come back and say everybody, most of me, including me, and my organization, used to have the 5 whys in the earlier days, no? To a large extent, we stopped that. Any guesses? We stopped asking 5 whys. We do that, but not very vigorously. Every problem comes in as a 5Y or a RCA. Relatively come down. We said 5 hows. What way you can do it better? That's more important. It has happened. Root causes identified, symptoms identified, no problem. Direct causes identified, indirect causes identified, fine. What next is more important for you? Are you coming back to speed in the next couple of hours, a couple of days, a couple of weeks? If you are not, the 5Y doesn't help you. You keep doing why, okay. And why did it come delayed today? Bus did not come on time. Shuttle does not come on time. Why did the shuttle come on time? You get your own sweet answers, right? And 90% of the time you say like it's a competency issue or a training issue. And that's a standard drop down that you have, right? So we said, guys, do that in a quick and sensible way as a rapid problem solving technique, but worry about how 5 hours you are able to make it. Sorry for that. And then we said, the customer is my very, very valid point. And then my TDIs are on the 3 o'clock positions, the targets to improve. Am I improving my targets month over month, week over week, quarter over quarter? That's your target. Have you accomplished it? If not, what next do you want to do? That's very, very clear. It could be as small as picking and placing. That's also fine. In a laboratory environment, pick and place is also fine. Right? When we went in the other day to Toyota to do some benchmarking, I remember one of the colleagues there, the gentleman there told us that we don't pay for walking, we pay for working. So every equipment is around that particular individual who is working. Some other organizations say, no, you walk and get things done. So they are thinking differently, right? So that's why they are able to manufacture more. So this, you have the stakeholder very, very clearly identified for all the metrics, there is a stakeholder. Don't collect metrics if there is no stakeholder left. If you happen to do that, please stop doing it from tomorrow morning, if not today. That's the communication we keep saying and on. That's how we get in. So I just took up some of the examples there. We worry about the rear view mirror all the time, right? Metrics which has come in, data warehousing on that, data mining on that, trend charting on that, prediction models on that. Okay? But if you ask me, every other pilot we work with tells me, Prabhakar, can you make the weather clear and crystal for me to fly tomorrow morning? Is it possible? We can't do it. But you can do that if you happen to see it in the windshield. Very, very clearly articulate what you want and what your customer wants from that persona. I have seen people who is from the Exxon the other day, right? She was telling me very clearly, right? Yeah, I'm worried about my plant being up and running 24/7. I have a scheduled maintenance of so-and-so timing. Perfect. So what? Can I reduce my maintenance cost? If I make it as 15-day maintenance shutdowns globally across the globe, my 15-day revenue loss is so much. Can you do something around that? I would not like to miss my maintenance, but I'd like to do that. I flew to China the other day. Last December I was in China. The same problem is looked at. We had a very good relationship with the Iwakos there. So we said, can we go and plug my turbocharger onto the Iwako engine, the truck there, right? Incidentally, the trucks most of you use, most of us